Welcome back, my friends. In this video we will be talking about the FOIL method for multiplications of binomial, trinomial, any algebraic expression. So for now we will start with explaining what does the FOIL stand for. So F stands for first, O stands for outer, I for inner, and L for last. And let's see what does it mean. So assuming we have two brackets with two binomial, okay, so the F would be the first term multiplied from the first bracket multiplied by the first term in the second bracket. So 3x times x, which would be 3x squared. The outer would be the first term from the first bracket multiplied by the last term, the outer term in the second bracket. So which would be 3x times -1, and it will be -3x. The inner is the two inner terms of the first bracket, right? So the first, that would be actually the last term of the first bracket, or the two inner terms. Okay, so it depends how you can just explain it, want to see it yourself. So inner is the second term from the first bracket times the first term in the second bracket, inner, so 6 times x. Okay, and then the last would be the second term, okay, from the first bracket times the last term in the second bracket. Okay, so that would be -6. Or if it's not easy for you to remember, you can put it this way. So 3x, this first bracket has got two terms, and this bracket has got two terms. So the first term from the first bracket should be multiplied by each term in this bracket. So 3x times by this, 3x times by this. Okay, now we're done with the first term. Now we move to the second term, which is 6. Okay, now it should be multiplied by the whole terms in the second bracket, which is x and -1. Okay, so whatever works for you, you are more than welcome to use it. But the answer, remember, the answers should be exactly the same. No matter what method you use, the answers should be exactly the same. So let's do a couple of examples. The first bracket, 4x plus 1. The second bracket, x minus 2. So let's start with the FOIL. First, it's 4x times x, 4x squared. Then O would be 4x times -2, which is -8x. Okay, now the I and L are the inner terms, 1 and x, which is x, and then 1 and -2, which is -2. After this, you have to simplify, and I always prefer to rearrange it from the largest or biggest power to the lowest. So here, 4x squared, then we have 2x, but with different coefficients. So -8 plus 1, -7x, and then the constant, it's -2. Let's continue with another example. Here again, we have two brackets, each of them are binomial. We use the FOIL method. So first term, 1 over 2x multiplied by x, 1 over 2x squared. Then again, 1 over 2x, -3, which is O. So -3 over 2 times x. Then the inner one, 1 times x. And then the L, the last one, 1 times -3. Okay, so again, we will simplify and try to rearrange it, make it look nicer. So 1 over 2x squared. So here I have negative 3 over 2x plus x. If we add them together, would be negative 1 over 2x and then minus 3. Okay, for the next one, we have two brackets, right? But then we have also a constant in front of the two brackets. What I can do a FOIL on these two brackets and then multiply, simplify, rearrange, and then multiply 6 to the final bracket. Or here, what I can do, like I want to show you different alternative. So I just multiply the 6 into the first bracket. It changed into 30 plus 6x, okay? And then instead of 3 brackets, it will be reduced to 2 brackets, and then I can do the FOIL, okay? So if I do the FOIL, it would be first one multiplied by this one, then 30 divided by multiplied by negative x, so 210 negative 30x, then the inner one, which is 6x times 7, 42x, and then 6x times negative x, negative 6x squared. Remember, we have to simplify and rearrange. Negative 6 squared, and then I have negative 30 and 42, add them together, I get 12 x's, and then the constant, it's 210. In the next example, I have a variable, power 3, multiplied by 2 brackets, which can be solved from many different ways. Let's say, as the previous example, you can simply multiply this by any of these brackets and then reduce it to 2 brackets and then do the FOIL. But if you before starting to multiplying brackets together, especially when you have more than 2 or even 3 or 4 brackets, try to see if there is any way you could group them together or use any method to simplify or to reduce it. So here, these 2 brackets, if you look closely, it can be it is one of those factorizing pattern, okay? Or you can simplify, you can easily FOIL them out. So that would turn into x squared plus x minus 1, and then x to the power 3 in front. So this will be reduced to x squared plus negative 1, and then the x to the power 3 is multiplied by each term. Or, as I just mentioned, if you can remember, these two brackets, okay, are one of those factorizing pattern. So x minus 1 times x plus 1, it's x squared minus 1. As you can see here, yes, that's the same thing. But instead of doing the FOIL, simplifying, you just simply use the formula and save yourself a lot of time. So x squared minus 1, and then the next step would be multiplying x cubed to this bracket, x cubed multiplied by x squared minus 1. The final answer, x to the power 5 minus x cubed, which is exactly as the same as the other method. So again, when you have more than two brackets, try to see how you can group them together, how you can make it much simpler. Next example, I have three brackets. In here, before you start multiplying, again, take a look at it once more and see if there is anything you can do to make it simple. So this bracket and this bracket together are one of those factorizing pattern, and you can just simply follow the formula and then get the answer x squared minus 4. Then these two will be replaced by x squared minus 4, and then you multiply it by the other bracket, which is 3x plus 1. So three brackets are reduced to two brackets in one single easy step. From here you can do the FOIL. So x squared would be multiplied by 3x, and then x squared then multiplied by 1. This is F and O. Okay, third one would be negative 4 by 3x and negative 4 by 1, which is I and L. From here, the answer is simplified, and it's also arranged from the highest to the lowest exponent, and you don't need to do anything else. Next example. In this example, the difference is that I have a combination of two different variables, y and x, and then a constant. But remember, as I told you, it doesn't matter if it's like 3, 4, 5 different variables, or even constant, any real number, radicals, fractions. The FOIL is the FOIL rule. Okay, so you can still apply it here. So y times by multiplied by 3y, which would be 3y to the power 2. Okay, and then y times 6y, the I, which is the inner, negative x times 3y, negative 3xy, and then negative x times 6, negative 6x. Can you simplify it any further? No. Well, you can factorize a 3, but then I just leave it as it is. The next example, which is really interesting, here you have 4 different brackets. Each of them are binomial brackets, and they are multiplied by one another. So again, before jumping into solving and doing the FOIL 2 by 2, let's look closely if we can use any of our factorizing methods. Here, 5 plus x and 5 minus x can be grouped together, and the other two brackets, 2 plus 2x and 2 plus 2x, can also be grouped together. So here, let's see, 5 minus x plus 5 minus x multiplied by 5 plus x. It's one of those factorizing patterns, 25 minus x squared. And then the other two brackets also would be 2 plus 2x multiplied by 2 plus 2x. You can either do the FOIL or simply remember this is the square. So it would be a squared plus 2 times a b and then b squared. And just get the answer in one simple, easy step. Then after that, you can reduce these 4 binomial brackets into 2 brackets. Okay, one of them is binomial, the other one is trinomial. Okay, so let's see how it's look like. So here you have a trinomial from this one, and then a binomial bracket from these two. Okay, so remember here, each term should be multiplied by the whole terms in the second bracket. So 4x squared should be multiplied by 25, 100x squared, and then 4x squared again should be multiplied by negative x2, which is I did. So here what you have to do like each term in the first bracket should be multiplied by each term in the second bracket. So it's only a matter of preference if you want to start with the first or second bracket. Here I prefer to start with the second bracket. I start with the first term. 25 should be multiplied by each term. So 25 times 4x squared, it's 100x squared. 25 times 8x, 200x. 25 times 4 is 100. And now I move on to the second term in the second bracket. Negative x squared should be multiplied by first term, which is negative 4x to the power 4. Negative x squared plus 8x, negative 8x cubed. Negative x squared times 4, negative 4x squared. And then after this, you have to simplify the answer. So negative 4x to the power 4, negative 8x cubed. Here we have 100x squared and negative 4. So it turns out to negative 96, actually positive x squared, then 200x, and then 100. Let's continue with another example. Here again, we have a combination of 4 different brackets, and each one has got a binomial. So I'll see if I can group any of these together, but I don't see any like special brackets which can follow any of those factorizing pattern. So what I'll do, I just group them 2 by 2, use the FOIL on each 2, and then multiply the resultant, the product of each fold, and multiply them together. So these 2 together, I use the FOIL, and then these 2 together, I use the FOIL. Then afterwards, I multiply this answer by this answer. So let's do step by step. The first 2 brackets, I have to use the FOIL. So 6x plus 1 multiplied by 3 minus 2x. Remember, 6x should be multiplied by 3. Then 6x multiplied by negative 2x. Okay. Then 1 times 3 is 3. And 1 times negative 2x, which is negative 2x. And then I simplify the answer. I get the answer for the 2 brackets. This, the bracket number 3 and 4 multiply to one another. I use the FOIL. So x times x, x squared, x times negative 2, negative 2x, 4 times x, and 4 times negative 2, which is negative 8. Now I simplify the answer. I get x squared plus 2x, negative 8. So far, I reduced the 4 binomial brackets into 2 brackets. And each bracket here would be a trinomial. So I have 2 brackets, which each of them is a trinomial. And let's see how I will solve this thing. So here, it's not is the FOIL rule, it's not applicable. So what I'll suggest you, just remember, each term from the first bracket should be multiplied by all the terms in the second bracket. So let's say this is the first term, should be multiplied by all the terms in the second bracket. Okay, so now the second term, which is 16x, should be done the same. So it should be multiplied by this, multiplied by this, multiplied by this. And we should continue with the third term as well. So let's do it one by one. So negative 12x squared times x squared, negative 12x squared times 2x, negative 12x squared times negative 8, which is plus 96x squared. So 16x times x squared, 16x cubed, 16x times 2x, 32x squared, So 16x times 2x should be 32x squared. 16x times 8, 128 negative x. And then the last term, 3 times x squared, 3 times 2x, and 3 times negative 8. Then last step, you have to simplify and rearrange the answer. So the biggest power, there is no other x to the power 4, so I simply write it down. So cubes, negative 24 here, 16 here, it's negative 8. That's it, negative 8x cubed. So 96 plus 32, 128, 131 x squared. Then let's talk about the x, negative 128, and then I have another 6 here, negative 122 and negative 24. So this is the final answer, simplified and arranged. I hope you enjoyed this video on multiplying binomial, trinomial, or any number of algebraic expression together. The FOIL is usually used for 2 brackets with 2 binomial, but as you can see, you can expand it and use it for bigger algebraic expression. I hope you enjoyed my videos. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channels. See you next time.